Will now be recorded.
Welcome to Cloudpandith trainings. Welcome to the ADF beginner course designed for beginners who want to learn Azure Data Factory from basics to real-time concepts. So in this particular video, we will understand what is Azure Data Factory and why we need it. So in this session, we will understand real-world data problems, what business expects from data, how this data was handled earlier, meaning traditional approaches, what are the problems with these traditional methods, then what is Azure Data Factory, why this Azure Data Factory is required. So this session is very important because it builds the foundation for all upcoming topics. And we will also understand who should learn this Azure Data Factory, and we will also discuss at end of today's session assessment, which will give you some understanding what you learned from this particular session. Real world data problems. If you see, where does data comes from? Data comes from banking applications, e-commerce websites, mobile apps, IoT devices, on-premise databases. But let's deep dive into each of these. If I consider a banking application, whenever you withdraw a money, you transfer funds or check your balance, what banking systems does is this banking system generates a data such as amount withdraw, on which date and time, in from which location, right? So bank generates millions of such records every day. That's how data is going to come from the banking applications. Similarly, if you consider a e-commerce websites, right? So when you search for products in Flipkart or Amazon and adding the item to a cart, place or cancel the order, every action creates a data. This data helps companies understand customer behavior. Okay. Similarly, if you consider a mobile apps generates a data whenever user clicks, scroll or open the screens. Even background activities produces the data without user notice, because you don't know how much time you are looking at the screen per day. You can see from the settings, right? Maybe many of you know, so that you can even reduce your screen time. That is also available directly in the mobile settings. Similarly, if you look at IoT devices are like smart watches, sensors, smart meters. All this leads to continuous data generation. This data flows every second and is very high in volume, because if you see the recent incident that I have observed is one parent who has a iPhone watch and his pulse, like he has a low BP, and it like that particular watch was triggered notification to his son. His son was notified to police. Immediately they came and took him to the hospital, and that's how he survived, right? So that's how IoT devices are going to work in real time, which sends the data continuously for every seconds. That's why there is a huge amount of data, high volume of data that we are going to get. But it is basically very critical for many cases. In many use cases, the real time data is also very important nowadays. Finally, we have a on-premise databases. Many companies still store data inside their own office servers for security reasons. Whoever don't have trust on the cloud servers, still they can still store their data in their own office servers. This includes employees data, finance data, customer data that business still wants to analyze, right? So all these particular data. So this is how generally we get the data from different applications, different business domains. Now, what business requirements from this data? Let's understand. Business requirements, if we analyze, what does business want is they want the centralized data. They want to get a daily or hourly updates. They want a clean and reliable data. Let's deep dive again each of these points. Centralized data, meaning business wants all the data in one central place instead of being data maintained in a different systems in a different places. They want to get all data into a centralized place. This makes analysis and reporting easy. The second point, if you see, daily or hourly updates, right? Business wants a fresh data. Decision should be based on today or latest data. It should not be taken on outdated information. So that's why they want daily or hourly update. Finally, we have a clean and reliable data. So what is meant by clean and reliable data? Data should be accurate, complete, trustworthy. Wrong data leads to wrong business decision, which collapse many businesses, right? So we understand how the data is coming, what business wants. But let's understand earlier how we were helping business teams. Let's understand that traditional approaches is, earlier approaches are generally we write some code to collect the data, analyzing this data. We use a cron jobs for scheduling them to run this particular jobs, and finally there is no monitoring will be there. If job failed, we will come back and we will check on the next day, right? But let's deep dive again each of this point. What is manual scripts? Earlier engineers wrote a scripts manual to move data from one place to another. These scripts were tightly coupled and hard to manage, meaning when the data volume grows, your script cannot run quickly. If your data increases volume of data more, then it takes more time. It is not scalable solution, right? Similarly, cron jobs. Cron jobs means these scripts were scheduled using cron jobs. If a job failed, it was often noticed very late. It is like, for example, job failed overnight. You will check only in the morning. That's a problem with these cron jobs. There were like no monitoring, meaning there was no centralized way to monitor failures or job statuses or triggering the notifications and all were not there at that time. But what are the problems with this particular approaches? Let's understand. Problem with this traditional methods is hard to scale, because your script is designed to process particular size of data. Let's say 1 GB of data. Tomorrow you get a 5 GB of data. Your script will take longer time. Meaning your script is not scaling as part of, like, as per the data volume increases, your script will not run quickly. There is no centralized monitoring system to monitor that particular failures to trigger the notification. There is no error handling, right? Automatically retries and all is not available. If I deep dive each of this point further, hard to scale, meaning as data volume increases, scripts fail or become slow. The scaling requires manual efforts. Again, somebody has to come and see what they can able to do to improve the performance. No centralized monitoring, meaning there is no single dashboard to track job health or failures, to understand what is the failure point. Is it going to fail next time if the data volume increases? So you don't have any monitoring system. Similarly, there is no manual error handling. As I said, manual error handling means errors must be fixed manually, which delays data availability, right? So now we understand how the data is coming, what business want. Earlier traditionally, what methods we are following, what are the problems with these traditional methods. That's where we are introducing the Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory is a cloud ETL or ELT tool, and it is a fully managed service. Who will manage? Cloud provider. Who is the cloud provider? Microsoft is the cloud provider. Let's deep dive into cloud ETL or ELT, meaning Azure Data Factory is a cloud based service, and it is used to move and transform the data, meaning you can bring the data from various sources and you can able to collect the data and put it at centralized place. You can transform and send the data for the Power BI for creating reports. What is what ETL or ELT is? You can extract the data, you transform and load it directly. Once you read, extract, you transform and load it. You can do that. Or first you extract data from various sources, load it into the cloud storage. After storing data into the cloud storage, you can able to transform the data. Fully managed, meaning Azure manages servers and scaling, allowing engineers to focus on pipeline logic, efficient, okay, metadata driven pipelines, configuration based pipelines, parameterized pipelines. So this is what data engineer has to focus. Data engineer no need to focus on the servers, because Microsoft Azure, a Microsoft company, is going to manage all these servers. Okay, simple ADF example, if you see, this is how it will generally works. It collects data from different cloud databases, cloud storages, different applications, right? And it can also connect to the weblog, sensors, Twitter, and then on-premise databases, file systems, right? It can connect to different sources. It brings the data into the centralized database or data lake storages. You can able to store. After that, you can do the data transformation, or you fetch the data, you do the data transformation, finally you store it. That's why you can do a ELT, meaning you extract, load it directly. After that, you can do the data transformation, or you extract the data, transform the data, finally you load it into database. Once you load the data finally into database, that data is consumed by the Power BI for creating the reports. Okay, so meaning this Azure Data Factory here working as a middleman. It extracts data from source systems and loading into the destination system. Why I am saying source system and destination system is Azure Data Factory supports hundred plus source systems and destination systems. That's why I don't want to name any of those things. That's why I'm saying it extract data from source systems and it loads into the destination systems, such as a data lakes or databases, anything it can be. Okay. Now let's understand why companies prefer Azure Data Factory. This is because of the visual pipeline. There is no code. It is secure and scalable. Visual pipeline, meaning pipelines are designed visually, making them easy to understand and maintain the pipelines. It is easy for us to understand what this pipeline is doing. There is no code here. Even if you look at the pipelines, you have to write very low code. You can say low code, meaning, for example, instead of reading a table, you want to fire some query and you want to get that particular query result, you will write some simple SQL queries. So that's how it's a minimal coding is required, making it accessible for beginners. ADF provides a enterprise level security and automatic scaling team. So you have a different ways you will get a enterprise level security, and automatically it will scale because cloud provider is maintaining the servers. If more data comes, the compute power will be automatically increased by the pipeline. Automatically it takes more compute to pull the data and load it into the destination systems. Okay, let's understand who should learn this Azure Data Factory. So freshers, beginners can easily start their data engineering journey with ADF, and SQL developers, already data engineers, ETL developers, data engineers who are working on different domains, maybe who are like, let's say, talent developers, informatica developers, SSIS developers, right? All these people are basically data engineers, but they don't know ADF. So professionals can easily upgrade their skills to cloud-based data engineering. That is, by using the Azure Data Factory, they can able to achieve the cloud-based data engineering transition they can achieve. Next, anyone who wants to transition to the data engineering, meaning anyone moving into data engineering, can use ADF as an entry point. Okay. So in the next session, we will deep dive into Azure Data Factory architecture and understanding the pipeline activities, data set, and linked services we will discuss. Now it's time for assignment team. So I'm going to show you 10 questions. So I'm not going to read it. I'm just scrolling down. So what you need to do is you pause the video and read the question and answer this particular questions. Okay. So I have shown all MCQ questions on screen. So if you want the same MCQs in document format for free, you can join our Telegram or WhatsApp group. So this particular link is in the description. Similarly, one final important thing is you have to get at least 7 by 10. Out of 10 questions, you should get 7 questions right. Then only you proceed to the next video. Otherwise, I recommend you to rewatch this video before moving forward to the next session tip. So the minimum passing score to watch the next session is 7. At least you should get a 7 questions answered correctly out of 10 questions. Thank you all. So please like, share, subscribe our channel, and promote our channel with your friends and family. Thank you all. Thank you.